Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are making strawberry shortcake. This is the cake I grew up with since I'm little. The sponge is very silky and so soft, and with whipped cream and fresh strawberries, it's just insanely good. It is the ultimate dessert that is simple yet luxurious. So without further ado, let's get started. I shared how to make the Genoise cake in this tutorial recently, so check out the video for more detailed tips and tricks, but let me show you how to make it briefly here as well. Mix milk, oil, and vanilla extract in advance. Mix egg and sugar together, warm it up with hot water, and keep whipping with high speed until it gets very fluffy. Then lower the speed and whip for another 5 minutes or so. It is whipped enough when you draw a line like this and stays on the surface. Add sifted flour, mix until you don't see it. Add the liquids and keep mixing with the cut and fold motion until it flows like this. Immediately pour in a pan, toss to remove some big air bubbles, and bake right away. Toss like this to remove some steam, flip, and wait until it cools down. Now to make cake syrup, we heat up sugar and water together in a microwave this time. Mix well to make sure the sugar is dissolved and set aside until it cools down. Alright, so for this video, I got these beautiful strawberries. It is a lot. I personally like small strawberries for my decorations, so I'm glad they have many, like small ones right here and here. Oh, let's hold it. Yeah, so this is gonna work out great. So I'm gonna save really nice strawberries for my decoration on top. And I sliced about 10 strawberries for the filling this time. I sliced thin into small pieces today. Remove some excess liquids like this and set aside in the fridge until right before use. So this is the Genoise sponge cake I made earlier. It was frozen, so I defrosted in the fridge. And yeah, it's perfectly moist and fluffy still. You can use 2 of them and do 2 layers or 4 layers. But today I'm gonna only use this and do 3 layers. Make sure your sponge is on the very center. Hold your blade and knife like this. By holding like this, it will not be shaky and you really feel that the blade is the part of your hand so that you can control better. Alright, so like this. Today I'll show you 2 ways to cut sponge. So I'm gonna cut 1/3 and 2/3 of this height. Don't squish it, just gently place it on top so that as you cut, you can turn your sponge like this. So again, make sure you can see very clearly. So I'm gonna cut the bottom first, 1/3. Just make a small cut, turn, make a small cut, turn, cut. Alright, so now I made the first cut, the first joint. So then, go in the cut, like this, and cut a little bit more, about 1/3. Hold on, let me take this huge plate off because it's kind of on my way. Here we go. Make sure this is flat. Go in. And now I really feel that the tiny bit of the center is sticked, but it's almost off. So I'm gonna turn one more time and completely cut off the center. So that was more like beginner's way that I started with. And now I am showing the second way, which I am currently doing. So put this guy's back, which is cutting the sponge as you turn the turning table and go deeper slowly as you turn. That way you are cutting your sponge like a swirl, and that creates a flawless, smooth surface. Alright. We use this one as the bottom layer because the bottom is firmer and stable, and it will be easier for you to move into another plate if necessary. Now let's make whipped cream. Add cream and sugar and whip. I always start whipping cream once I am done with all the preps, which is making cake syrup, cutting strawberries, and sponge. Because once it's whipped, I want to finish coating whipped cream as quickly as possible while the condition is still good. Whipped cream is very sensitive with heat, so you want to finish coating quick and keep it cool. Depending on the fat content and how they are made, some heavy cream get whipped up really fast or some takes longer. So pay a close attention here. Once it is over whipped, you can't fix it unless you add a lot more heavy cream and whip again. If it is very close to the ideal, just mix them by hand like that and adjust. For me, I like the soft peak that is not too soft, but not too stiff either. You can check by lifting up your whisk like this, and it is done if it stands up gently like this. So after that, I whip about 1/3 of the portion, even more like this. Just a little bit, about 5 seconds with high speed, and I am going to use it between the sponge layers and for crumb coating. By using the thicker whipped cream like this, the cake stays more stable and it is easier to work on the final coat. Also, when you need to leave in a room temperature a little bit or carry into a different place, it can hold the shape much more easily. So that's why I am doing this. This is a little bit more stiff, like a fluffy, how do you say, like fluffy crowd, and this is smooth and soft. Looks a little bit more shinier, so it should feel like this. Now let's start building the cake. Apply cake syrup on each layers. Tap like that instead of brushing to avoid creating crumbs on the surface. By applying cake syrup, the cake tastes much better with the moisture, so I highly recommend to take time to do so. Drop a big scoop and spread with spatula. And just like when you cut the sponge, hold your spatula like this to feel it is a part of your hand so that you can control better. Place your fresh strawberries, spread evenly and push in. Do not spread all the way to the edge so that they are not coming out from the side later. Add more cream on top and smooth the surface. By spreading whipped cream under the strawberries does not move around as you do this. When you spread the cream, I like to spread up to a little over the edge so that I can use that cream to crumb coat the side later. You'll see what I'm talking about later. Make sure this top side is facing down since this cut side is much easier for you to coat and has more flat surface with sharper corners. Now crumb coat the side using the whipped cream that are over the edge like I was saying. Fill the gaps and holes and seal any crumbs. For makeup, this is just like a primer before applying foundation. Very important process. And here is the most important thing when you coat your cake with whipped cream, which is always angle your spatula with 15 to 30 degrees, depending on the amount of whipped cream, toward the direction you want it to go for. That is the key to coat whipped cream smoothly without dragging the surface. So about this, I think it's much easier to just watch and learn. So pay attention to how I do it and not this, that each time I always angle spatula toward the moving direction. and create the sharp corner using a spatula like this. Clean up your spatula each time you do that to create a clean, sharp corner.
Alright, so this goes in the fridge.
Chill 30 minutes to 1 hour to let it sit, and make sure to chill the rest of whipped cream as well to keep the condition. Drop about 2 big scoops on top and spread evenly. Go over the edge intentionally like this. And using the excess cream, create a clown on the edge like this. This will create a sharp corner just like how I did with the crumb coating. And I am adding more whipped cream on the side. At this point, it does not have to look smooth and pretty at all. Just make sure it is even thickness all around from the bottom to the top. And another very important thing is when you coat your cake with a spatula, always set your spatula on the same position where you can easily check with your eyes, because if you cannot see it directly, you cannot do the most accurate job. So if you are right-handed like me, set it on 8 o'clock position. If you are left-handed, set it on 4 o'clock position. I think that's what you'll feel most comfortable to work on. To create a clown and make a sharp corner, make sure to add lots of cream near the top edge as well. Now, once the thickness is all even, set it on the position like this. Don't move the spatula at all, just move the turning table and smooth out the surface. And when you do that, make sure your spatula is completely straight to create, a nice looking cake. Whipped cream is very soft, so do not add too much pressure here. Think like your spatula is just gently sliding the surface instead of adding the pressure, just like your spatula is kind of skiing on the surface. Check and add more whipped cream as needed and repeat the same thing. You do not want to touch too much here since your whipped cream gets too stiff by doing so. Also, as the whipped cream sits in room temperature and it gets warmer, the condition gets worse and kind of gets loose. So try to finish as fast as you can here, or I recommend to keep chilling the bowl with ice water to prevent that. Now that we have a beautiful clown, you can create a nice sharp corner. Again, clean up your spatula each time you do it and gently scrape off the excess. I always imagine that it's almost like airplanes land on the ground.
So before I decorate on top, the whipped cream is getting softer, so I'm going to put it back in the fridge and come back. Today the decoration is going to be very simple. I'm going to use the strawberries and raspberries and some herbs and gold leaf. It is done!
It is done!
Yay!
Oh, can you eat it?
Yep.
So like I said, since it is my child food cake that I grew up with, that my mom made for me all the time, I have so many memories with my family and friends with this cake. So I'm so glad to be able to share it with my daughter finally, and I'm so glad she liked it. I had so much fun. I'll save this precious memory in my album.
Hey, Mom, it's my birthday?
No, it's just happy day.
Happy day? Oh.
Both called it from the beginning. Called it. We knew that the right to be nice. We do what we gotta do to stay winning, winning. The fuss and the fights will keep them trust. And you make me wanna say, I love you better today than yesterday. Every day is gonna play out the same, the same, the same, the same. Hey, I love you better today than yesterday. Every day is gonna play out the same. It's gonna play out the same. Growing as apart. Say what we mean. Say it from
Mama,
the
this
heart.
is big.
Mama,
This is big.
Wrinkles and grays, don't
big.
be alarmed. Because with me, the beauty
I have more.
so far. Both called it from the beginning. We called it. We knew that the right to be nice.
Today I try to share as many tips as possible, but talking about techniques like that, like decoration skills, like coating whipped cream, that's something that you gotta learn with your hand. I show it with my hand, but in the end you're gonna have to use your hand and feel the cream, feel the sponge, and really practice. Coating a cake with whipped cream is very hard. It is much harder than coating with buttercream. So I just wanted to let you know that if you're a beginner, don't expect that you can coat like a professional yet, but you will be. You practice many times and you'll be able to. I promise you. Alright, so thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you, and stay safe and keep baking, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.